I don't know a single gooner out there who does not enjoy themselves a revenge flick or an action flick in general, something with a western gunslinger, samurai anime, a John Woo flick here and there. It is something that we are all incredibly passionate about. We all love it. We might say, oh, the story's not that deep, bro, it's not that good, but deep down inside, our little childlike wonder will fire up like crazy, and we will jump right in to wanting to be the guy sitting in the front row of the movie theater cheering when somebody gets their head blown off. Why actors' catalogs like John Wayne are constantly revisited over and over again. It's not that they're the most deep, intellectual-driven movies. It's because we get to see some goddamn badass action. We get that walk in front of the explosion. That lone hero who doesn't put up with any garbage, who's a step above everybody else, kind of OP, willing to just strike somebody down at a moment's notice just to accomplish his goal. That's what makes revenge tales so badass. Yes, they can have deep storylines and ties backs and flashbacks to give it real depth, but the real meat and potatoes, the real crucial thing that makes you come at the end of the day is the action throughout the series. The havoc that these people put upon the world in order to make their last stand. That is the most badass thing in almost any cinematic experience, is when you see them make their final stand in a giant blowout of blood, guts, and mayhem. God damn it, do I love our good revenge flick. And that's exactly what this game is trying to be. Flash of the Blade X starts off with the idea that it is a revenge samurai tale, and you are on this journey getting revenge for the family you have lost. You're being betrayed by your own clan. And not only is this game just a fun idea of jumping right into the action right before you have to start kicking ass, but this game's also a revenge flick on itself. You see, this was a remake. The developer had made this game back before he didn't have an art designer, so his shit looked wiggity whack, and he decided he was going to take revenge on his old goddamn IP and have somebody else come in and redraft it. This was his first big remake, and god damn it, if you look at the art on screen right now, you'll understand why he decided to pull all the brakes and go full kick ass, because this shit looked wild. What the fuck is coming out of that guy? Spaghetti? What is this, fucking a rap song by Eminem? I'm just fucking with you, Sam Marshall, if you're watching this. Yeah, he's the developer of this game. I like to do a little dick grabbing with him. Big fan of it. He grabs mine real nice and sweet like, and I give him a rough jerk with sandpaper. He's told me this is one of his favorite games he's ever made, was the remake of his original Flash of the Blade X. He really kind of put the fucking sword right between its butt cheeks and flossed like a goddamn savage. This game is really beautiful, even at the starting area, which I think is probably the weakest level in the entire game. When you start out, it's very open, and that would be cool if the AI didn't get stuck in the water as they tried to fucking rage toward you. They just kind of go full retard.
Everybody knows you never go full retard.
I understand that can be the trickiest part about using FPS Maker as your engine for the game, and I don't really hold them too much at fault, considering most of the time in all of their games, this really isn't that big of an issue and it doesn't seem to bog the experience down, but it does seem to be a problem in this first opening level. Regardless of the pathfinding mistakes that this game does have, I do think it makes up for it in one, art style, and two, just fun-ass gameplay. The way that the sword cuts through people is such a fun mechanic. It really harkens back to Shadow Warrior, which for its time I think had incredible melee weapon design, and I think that that's one of the highlights of any DOSman game, is their ability to make the melee combat fun and not tedious. And something I've noticed, this being my second game in the DOSman collection that I have played, the first being Space Aliens in Space, that this fucking dev team knows how to make this shit fun. I feel like I'm a badass fucking katana wielding monster, and in the other game I was making comparisons to the goddamn energy sword. If that's not love enough, I don't know what is, you stupid son of a bitches. One of the things that helps us out so much is the design and the time they took into each enemy's death. Yeah, a lot of it gets a little bit repetitive, but at the same time, when you hit somebody and they fall into pieces, it's fucking glorious. It harkens back to the games that made the FPS genre so fantastic, stuff like Wolfenstein and Doom, but at the same time, not as annoying as fuck to find out where you're going. These games are very to the point, very simple, very straightforward, without being too straightforward, while at the same time giving you open environments to make it seem like the levels are much bigger than they are, so you can have fun in these big open areas while also never getting lost. It's a perfect balance that they seem to find, and I love the fact that even in this first level, with all of its faults, it was able to really push that through. I think something else that really makes this game stand apart and never feel like it gets too old is the fact that they're always throwing a goddamn ton of enemies at you. They don't give a fuck. They will have everybody flooding at you like it's a Serious Sam game without the overwhelming nature of a Serious Sam game. These games are all about action non-stop, kicking Dixon, and I fucking love it. Honestly, it's also rare for a DOSman game to have incredibly bullet spongy enemies. They don't really exist. It's all about just cutting through as many of these fuckers as you possibly can. I played a game a little while back that somebody had been working on, kind of an indie developer who was using Easy FPS Creator, and one of the biggest problems I found in that game was the fact that all of his enemies took like 6 shots to fucking kill. It took forever to kill these guys. None of them were that intimidating. It was just tedious. I was counting the shots out audibly. It got to the point that it was like, I'm not even having fun because I'm sitting here counting instead of killing. And I want to be killing. This is an FPS game. Not that the game was bad or anything. It was just some sort of problem that I kind of was honing in on. And this game doesn't have that. And that's what I think makes their game so successful compared to their opposition. Well, opposition really isn't the right word. It's not like DOSman Games is out there sneaking into other development studios or single dev houses and just beating the shit out of people. That's kind of what I made it seem like. And now I don't know what DOSman as a team does in their free time, but I don't think it's beating up other developers with clubs and bats. But what I do think they beat up is their own flaws. So one thing I noticed going into the second level into this game is they had a bunch of little houses. You were freely able to explore, so you could go inside and there'd be a couple enemies in there. You take those down, then you could jump around on top of the roofs, throwing ninja stars at all the other arrow enemies, and it kind of worked in a really genius way. You see, the pathfinding in these easy FPS games are the best. They're just not that great. Everyone wants to funnel your direction, unless you put them at a spot that says like, hey, you shoot at me. I've noticed that in every easy FPS game, once they're in a locked position shooting at you, they'll kind of move back and forth, but they won't charge you a lot of times. And it seems like what they decided to do was they're like, alright, we'll put a bunch of archers on top, we'll have some free roaming enemies, so when they do get in aggroed on that character, they can rush him, but there's like buildings and stuff in the way, so it feels really organic, it feels natural. It feels like you're raiding a ninja compound, that you have to move around and you're killing people as you go. And it was really genius how they kind of tricked the AI into feeling really, really smart when you can tell they're really fucking stupid. I really like this change of pace, especially after the first level, having all the enemies rush into the water and get stuck on the ledges. This really feels like they're waiting for you. This is their base. You're fucking trying to go into their home and play with their ball sack. I get what you're saying. You're probably sitting there thinking, oh, well, they can't put houses on every single level, then it'll just get boring and feel like the same romp over and over again. And they don't. One of the genius other things that they did in this is there's going to be levels, whether it's with bamboo or reed fields, where there's going to be any enemies hunting you down, trying to bust into your asshole, but the whole time you're looking for them and don't know where they are. You'll hear them say, oh, he's over there, and then they're chasing your ass down, but you really don't know where they're at because they're hiding in the reed fields, much like a real samurai or ninja would do, which I think is a really brilliant way to kind of hide the stupidity of an AI in a game. The opposite end of the spectrum, their boss fights in this game are really interesting in the regard that what they do is they just have the boss fucking badass rush your ass. Bro has no brakes. He's coming in there to kick your fucking ass. And the arena really is there to kind of move through to his advantage. So you're constantly on the run trying to outmaneuver these motherfuckers. Just like you would in an anime. I'm Naruto running like a goddamn crackhead trying to keep away from this son of a bitch. I'm not gonna lie, this long mustached little pussy bitch had me a little afraid the first time I fought him. This dude had me fucking on my heels running like a badass track star. And not gonna lie, the first time I went to fight him, I opened up the front door, he ran into the hallway and just had my ass pinned. I also like the way that the DOSman team just doesn't give a fuck. They don't give an absolute shit what people think. They'll put women in their game so you can just slice them down and take health from them. Those are the enemy ninjas women. We don't give a fuck about those women. Backslap the fuck out of them, get some ammo. I think another reason that I don't think Flash of the Blade X is quite as good as DOSman though, is because DOSman, Spaceman, and Space really utilized a lot of these cave level design, which I think that they learned from games like this. They learned that if they made a bunch of rooms where you enter these rooms, the enemies can flow in a lot more natural. And I have to say that these are some of the most fun levels in this game, because some of the open areas, like I said, they get stuck on a bunch of bullshit, and in these levels, it just seems they spawn in naturally and want to fuck your ass up. And I really like the way that these flow. And I do have to say that even over Spaceman in Space, this has one of my favorite rooms in all of the DOSman games I've played thus far. This room is just fucking gorgeous. It's a library, right? And you have to slowly sneak around while you're getting shot from archers on top of the books and also being chased down by ninjas on the floor level. It is brilliant level design by these guys. I just love it so much. And eventually you are gonna have to go on top of the books to get the key, which you have to then kind of look around to figure out what you're supposed to jump on in order to make that happen. Which is just this random ass light that normally you would think would just be set dressing. I really like the way this is all set up. It was fun little puzzle solving around the arena, and it's something I wish they would do a little bit more of. I really like the way this whole thing was set up. I think this is probably one of the most brilliant rooms I've ever seen, and they made a lot of really good rooms, but god damn did I love that little section. I also love the fact that they used the little bamboo section earlier on to kind of give you a taste of what was to come. There's going to be 2 little grass sections like this in this game, and the one thing that they both do is you have no fucking clue where any of these enemies are, and you can't even see in front of you. Like, at least with the bamboo section, there was a straight path where you needed to go. Not in this one. They're like, hey, motherfucker, look at this. You are just going to be running your ass off completely. The best thing to do is try to get them all to gather up behind you and stay ahead of them while shooting behind you, effectively abusing the game's AI. It is way more fun to sneak through the grass and try to find them one at a time. I would suggest doing that first, but if you're like, I just want to save some time and just fucking run through this like I did on the second playthrough, it's just as fun because you're gathering like an army of ninjas up to kill as a giant horde. So either effective way is awesome, and I think you get something out of either playstyle, which is really, really awesome. I really like this open idea of just having this giant open room that enemies are flooding in at you and you can't see them. It's a really cool idea. It's something that I haven't even seen in like a serious Sam game. Another thing that like thoroughly tickled me all the way down to the balls and up to the nose was the fact that there's multiple boss fight encounters in this game. One of my biggest gripes about DOSman Spaceman in Space was there's only really 2 boss encounters, and I felt like I wanted more big heavy attacks, and this game definitely does not fucking mess around with boss fights. You go from one boss fight to then fighting 2 bosses in this room, and yeah, they play really similar, but now you have more useful tools in your arsenal. Like last time you just had the fucking throwing stars in your katana. Now you got the throwing stars, your crossbow, which is a crossbow in this game fucks so hard, dude. It's so amazing. I love the crossbow. It's so much fun to use. It's basically your sniper rifle. You just be picking people off all goddamn day with that badass bitch, and the throwing stars kind of work like a shotgun, and it's just so much fun to sit here and pick off 2 different enemies while there's a bunch of like weaker enemies running around trying to kill you too. It kind of takes the opposite approach of what the first boss fight taught you, because this one you have to really keep an eye on 4 to 5 different enemies at one time while running around taking advantage of the arena. To be frank, there's nothing wrong with this game at all. You might think that I'm being a little negative or something, I've given it my critiques, but I had so much fun with this game. In fact, the worst mission in this entire game I still think is a fun mission at its fucking core. This mission right here where you're running through, it's basically this game's sewer. You're running through like a dungeon. It's all very similar looking rock walls. It's the only time I got like a teensy bit lost in the entire game, and for the most part you don't get lost, so that's a plus. But this one mission you get a little bit lost in, and it's still a very fun level. When your worst level is still fun to play, you have a fucking good game on your hands. I don't know what there is to complain about. But you eventually get out of that little rocky dungeon sewer hellhole, and it gets better again. It goes back to these internal Japanese house settings, which I think the game really excels at. You get a couple of kunai, and you just get to stab them right into people's fucking chest, which is awesome. I'm getting to live my Raphael dreams, baby. I'm Raffy to the fucking extreme. This is great. This is what we want. We want Teenage Mutant Ninja Shadow Warrior, and that's what we're getting. This is Shadow Warrior Light, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles first person Excelsior badassness. And the boss fight right after this section was bonkers, dude. This is the most insane boss fight in the whole game. Now, there's some really crazy stuff coming up because the game kind of turns into a boss rush, but you're basically fighting the Doom guy. He looks just like the Doom guy. His head's all square. He's all American. He's chasing you with kunais, and he's got like 500 assailants with him. So you're just running around hoping that one of these son of a bitches doesn't catch up with you, and it's just an entire army. The game was like, oh yeah, we gave you 5 guys last time. Well, here's like 20. Have fun, survive the best you can, and you slowly piece them off one at a time. If you try to run in there and take care of these guys real quick, like, you will end up dead. And I don't ever feel like the bosses, yeah, they have a lot of health, but I didn't ever feel like they were hardcore bullet sponges where I got bored at any of these occasions. It felt like they had one goal: hunt my ass down and kill me, which is just what they would do in an anime or a samurai action flick. Now, let's just take a minute to stop and smell the flowers here. Smell those cherry blossom trees in bloom. This is a gorgeous game. I've said this enough times. I've talked about their level design. I've talked about their cool ideas, but I don't know if I've actually hit on the fact that this game's level design, art design, every sort of design feature in this game is fucking immaculate. The weapons, the enemies, the cherry blossom trees, the little snakes that go on the side of the dojo. Everything is so goddamn pretty. This is that type of chick that you take home not to fuck, but to rizz up and eventually marry. This was such a pretty game. The waterfalls, even the water, I know it's not real water, but it looks so gorgeous. I was in love with everything that they were trying to do in this game. I do think it is a misstep that they didn't put that weird little half-naked anime bitch in this game from Shadow Warrior. I think that would have been a good call out. I know that it's cheesy to make nods at other games, but it would have been cool, especially in a level like this that feels so fucking Shadow Warrior inspired. Come on, this is so good. This is so anime garbage, love, amazing shit, tits, nipple, fuck. Alright, Jeffrey, that'll be enough of that. Your Tourette's moment, you had it, it's over, you can calm down now, back to the game. I love this last little push that you have in the giant enemies dojo, and it honestly feels like that Bruce Lee movie that they put together with duct tape, cum, and stickers. You know the one I'm talking about, the one with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar where he beats him by utilizing the fact that sun hurts his eyes. Great flick, absolute banger. The movie wasn't finished. Bruce Lee died during the finish of it, so they kind of just duct taped a bunch of fights together and said, here, public, here's a fucking fighting movie with Bruce Lee. Let's get some cash off of his stupid ass corpse. This truly feels like you're going on one big march toward the enemy. You're in their fucking domain now. There's enemies at every corner. It's dark, it's moody. You feel the vibes of the revenge tropes hitting hard with the art style and the atmosphere. It's brilliantly done. One of the best utilizations of a dark rooms and hallways that they've used yet. It's taking everything they learned from this entire experience of this game and amplifying it to really set the tone for a hardcore ending that we are going to get. And also, if you're crafty and smart, you can find the last weapon of the game, kind of its real super weapon. In your right hand, you'll have a scythe, and the other one, you'll have a chain with a ball gag on it, right, for your wife when she's really misbehaving, so you can give her those good spankings and she can't really moan too loud. But it's really good to utilize on the enemy too, because it's kind of got a short distance, but you keep enough of the distance with your enemy that when those hordes are pushing in on you, you can kind of beat them back without them being able to get a swing on you. At first, I really didn't like this weapon that much, but the best part about this weapon is you can throw the chain into them and then get that secondary swing with your right click that will really take them down in one shot. It's kind of a multi-use combo weapon, which is a really cool idea that I hadn't really thought about before until playing this game. Not that it's ever going to overtake the crossbow though, because this crossbow fucking fucks so hard. Dude, this is the type of thing that pushes those boobs together and then just flosses with its penis, I swear. Actually, since I brought up the crossbow, it's time to talk about my favorite boss arena in this game. This boss arena is actually perfect. I can't think of anything that would make it better. The whole point of this is to just out-snipe everyone in the arena, and somewhere in this arena there is an ultimate sniper crossbow user who's just waiting for you to fuck up and kill your ass. I know they're called archers. Why would you call them a sniper crossbow user when they're an archer? I don't fucking care. That's why. I'm stupid and I'm a guy who yells into a microphone on the internet. When your uncle fills you with seed every Tuesday, do you call it Tickle Time Tuesdays? Because I call it incest. Roasted. Now that that's out of the way, I can actually talk about why I love this map so much. It felt like such a tactical situation. It felt like at every corner I was really trying to pay attention to what was going down, and I really had to hone in on at any moment I could be getting sniped at. So it felt really tactical in that regard, which is something I haven't felt a lot in the DOSman games. Yeah, there was moments where I was picking my shots, but there was something about this layout that felt like I was playing a thing of Siege in a Boomershooter. This was incredible. It was super cool. It was something I didn't know could be utilized in a game like this, and it was totally over the top and amazing. And the fact that I was jumping and peeking over to the top of the map just to get that single shot sometimes, so brilliantly made. I mean, come on, man. And the way the enemy looked with this stupid fucking side swoop haircut, awesome. Awesome, this was perfect. There's nothing I can say about this other than this was a perfect fucking level, and I loved hit scanning everybody, dude. This was so sick. I could understand in this last section how somebody could say, oh, this is where they stopped trying and just kind of hit you with the boss rush, but I 100% disagree. The fact that when you open this door you get your fucking ass kicked by the boss, I think was already cool, and you kind of have to learn the things you've learned throughout the boss fights to be able to accomplish just beating this first open room. But another reason is all the little pieces of media I pulled from to describe the things in this game are what is being emphasized here at the end. You think of anime, westerns, revenge flicks, even fucking Die Hard. There's always that character you think is dead. Though that big bad that has had his ass kicked already by the hero, and he's not actually dead, and he shows up for the last blowout at the end of the film. That is exactly what's happening here. It happens in anime all the time. That last big blowout with the bad guy, the one guy gets beat, goes back with his tail between his legs to tell the main bad that, hey, we're getting raided. He's coming for us. He got that fucking sword in him that has a letter that says, hey, you cuck fuck, I'm gonna kick your ass. You know the thing. You know what's happening here. And that's exactly what this feels like, with the addition of a few new bosses that maybe they were just extra characters, like the night guy that I killed there. I didn't see him in the rest of the game. I think they just threw him in there because they didn't really know what to do with him, but he fits because it's outrageous in this style of gameplay. It adds to the atmosphere, it adds to the storytelling without actually saying anything. It's that perfect last roundup rush. Instead of just showing you, hey, these are the guys that you beat in like a quick cutscene, you get to re-beat them again, and in a really quick fashion, because you already know their weaknesses, you already know how to exploit them. You have grown as a character throughout this revenge story. I loved this. I loved the ability to just run through all these bosses again. I really got to experience them for that one last time. I get this hard push through all the boss rooms is so fucking sick. The cherry on top is the final boss is the fat sumo wrestler that you saw from the little secret in this game. It shows how far they have come as a studio, that they're taking revenge on their old games. They are putting the final knife into that last game and pulling the twist. They are doing what most games should do. If a bad game came out, it should get the remake or the remaster. It should get the overhaul because it wasn't that great to begin with. But now you're making it great. You're making it legendary. And I love that they took the time to do that. And also the secrets in this game and the fact that they add DOSman to everything. There's just so much charm over every single inch of this entire experience, and I hope you go out and play it. I had a lot of fun with this one. I had a lot of fun making this video, so take the time, like and subscribe, cocksuckers, because I love you all, and I hope you enjoyed my little rendition and playthrough of Flash of the Blade.